Thanks, Megan. Yeah, that's awesome, guys. Just whether you think you're a poet or a nonfiction writer or whatever, send your stuff in, please, next year. Lots of it. We want it. We're hungry for it. If you're a little bit more hungry, you can stay and listen to me read. I'm next on this list. You know what I mean. Okay. This is I submitted it in creative nonfiction. It really looks a lot more like a big block poem, and it's about the idea that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And this is something I'm becoming to, this is a journey I'm beginning to take, a lesson I'm beginning to learn, and it kind of starts around the scene of marriage. I got married last September, and so this is kind of like a big word painting of that scene. It's called The Math of Marriage. At our wedding, my wife and I counted up the tables we rented and the chairs that sat under them. 32 white rectangular tables, 250 brown fold-out chairs. We could have tallied the women in sundresses dining in the field, their fingers snacking on barbecue and beer, belching as dogs ran under tables to snap a fallen strand of sweet meat from the grass. Someone listening closely could have counted the number of men who whispered "beautiful" to describe the wedding or their dates or what it meant to be a piece of it all that afternoon. Everything was numbers, so we kept them in folders and scribbled them on the back of receipts. But most figures ran howling, gathering, combusting, collapsing towards totals we could never compute. It had been a month of mashing dates and phone calls for favors, a steady climb through invitation designing, dress stitching, suspender smacking, cake lapping, and a careful choosing of tea lights. It had all brought us to this one moment, flickering up in a small pond of oceanic light. You may kiss the bride, and then flow out. Crabs caught in the summer tide. I had to stand up for a minute, on the lip of the tip of the toes of my shoes to become the lift of elation and the sweep of the sand. If once there were gods here that had drowned like trees in the ocean, then again their saplings grew from the surf and named each other with a murmur, a recognition of love. Soaked in every last bit of that summer, we danced barefoot across the grass, counting the time with the feel of our toes standing on end, seeing ourselves a little taller than we ever realized we were before or forgot we had been, spinning to the bluegrass picking. We smiled into a familiar carnival of faces. They had whispered to us our own names in recognition of some collective motion, drawing each eye flashing with candle wicks. This light they had seen us by before, looking too long, redefining the limits of each other's curling skin and lips that tongue and linger on phonetics, lateral approximate consonants eventually sounding love, that were heard by nibbled ears, and not counted but multiplied, reacted, and raised to the exponential power of each instance, never islands into themselves. And us, ourselves, hands joined, rings bound, shoes kicked off, beholding the panoramic view of our beginning, with the intake of breath before "I love you," with the angry exhaltations and shaking knees, with the thought that moved our hands to hold, with the light that showed our refusal to turn away, with the wonder of the possibility that there was something stronger than gravity between us, with all these same illusions of beginning between our gray and wrinkling parents who, beginning in similar fashions, had made the two of us. As we made our way through the night, we could feel it, this cycle spinning around us, the moment, a temporary peak of a wave rushing nowhere. There is only one. Count it, and all else is accounted for. We could have counted the stars rising. We could have counted the logs on the bonfire burning. We could have counted the 250 chairs at our wedding and added the 3 toilet seats and added the 10 benches. We could have added the people who came to fill them and the car seats that carried them there. We will always have to add the armchair that my grandmother sat in, shelling purple whole peas and teaching us that sometimes you get more from a garden than you ever thought you had planted.